Tradition, culture, and language. All of these shape a community's identity, helping it to interpret the world it inhabits and create a sense of belonging. Each generation serves as the guardian of this knowledge and remains the vital link to the next generation. In the Caucasus Mountains region of Azerbaijan and southern Russia, several minority language communities are trying to hold on to their traditions as well as to their languages, which belong to a linguistic family unrelated to any other in the world. But in a time of rapid global changes, this is becoming increasingly difficult. This short film shares a glimpse into the culture of one of the minority people groups of Azerbaijan, the Tsakhur, or as they call themselves, Yikbi. The Tsakhur now stand at the crossroads of a global modern future and a local traditional past, but their lives have been shaped by the land they have depended upon from the beginning. For centuries, the Yikbi have relied on the fertile highland pastures of the Caucasus Mountains to support their great flocks of sheep and goats. Animal husbandry has been central to the livelihood of the people. Each day in the summer, in the mountain pasture camps, the owners of the livestock and their hired helpers set to work extracting the nutrient-rich milk from the ewes who have been bred for this purpose. These animals yield less milk than cows, and the work to get it is much harder. But the shepherds have mastered the rhythm of their labor and collect a surprisingly large volume every day. The milk is poured through a simple strainer and gathered into a large barrel where it will react with a natural acid and become cheese, a valued commodity and favorite food throughout the region. The men spend the entire summer far from their villages or towns, exposed to the open elements in order to look after their flocks day and night and protect them from wolves and bears. They can recognize their sheep by sight and have developed a unique communication with their animals using different sounds and gestures. These animals are important to the Yikbi, not only for the milk they give, but for their meat, which is sold in the markets for a good price. The shepherds themselves rely on this important source of protein while working in the camps. A sheep is carefully chosen and carried out for slaughter. With a quick cut of the knife and a ritual pouring of water into the throat, the shepherds will receive not only food, but a variety of other valuable resources for their well-being.
Ayın litodu. Hem de çobana hançe yap, hip kalabak kamı. Yap yuvuşum hip kalabak kamı çe yap. Ayın litodu. Jogan kabi hançe kalabak kam. Kap çolu yap, kati sürünü kalagal. Kanı kalagal. Ayın hep çede güney bakar bu hançkasında balkon kalıyor hakka. Suveka. Ey bu güney bu. Ayda tanka. Anche ka nisse sa, nisse magash ni khani banat ni hanki qasa. Tati boch ki qasa amu khir qewan qasat ku mega hanki qasa. Kan galbu tane. Banat it alam bu. Yona anje ga bu tane sarguli ha ana it alam di ay kandish. İnce de khir balkan khali ku jakkaman. Khojune khacho jakkamo.
After the lambs have spent a few hours with their mothers in the fields, they are separated and kept apart until after the next day's milking, when the cycle repeats over again. In the skillful hands of the Yikbi women, wool from the sheep is combed and then spun into yarn. After the yarn has been dyed into various bright colors, it is artfully knitted or woven into objects that are both practical and beautiful, such as these wool slippers, and of course, carpets of all sizes for the home. Throughout history, the horse was the best means of travel across the rough and varied terrain of the Caucasus Mountains. Horses were essential for transporting goods from village to village and are still used to take supplies to and from the high mountain pastures where the shepherds work. Horses also play an important role in the lighter aspects of Yikbi life. A favorite pastime is racing, and in the past certain horses were bred for this purpose. Far from high-stakes betting, a local race in the village is all about fun and friendly competition. The Yikbi have always lived close to the land, and the rhythms of their lives move with the changing of the seasons. In the fertile region of northern Azerbaijan, there is an abundance of grain and food sources year-round for both animals and people. One of the favorite staples of the Yikbi is bread, freshly baked in a traditional cylindrical oven. Once a batch has been completed, the owner of the bread blesses the loaves with a kiss and the motioning of her hands. Many Yikbi families still prepare foods with the methods they have used for centuries. A hollowed-out log is the favored tool for churning butter. The vast majority of Yikbi homes are filled with items that have been manufactured elsewhere, as the global economy has flooded local markets with inexpensive goods from abroad. But there are still a few craftsmen who make use of local materials and traditional methods to produce items that are just as useful today as they were centuries ago. This man is making a large serving spoon. The Yikbi have always adapted to change. Over the millennia, outsiders have long entered their lands, and religions have come and gone. But the Yikbi have remained a deeply spiritual people. Beginning in the 4th century, Christianity came to the region during the time of the Caucasus Albanian Empire. In northwestern Azerbaijan, there are still many remains left today of church buildings from this period of time, such as this cathedral in the village of Qum, built in the 5th century. This monastic complex, known as the Seven Churches, was built sometime in the 5th or 6th century near the present-day village of Lakit. By the 8th century, Islam was brought to the region through the Arabs. Gradually, as various clans accepted Islam, mosques came to replace church buildings, and are still being built to this day. Towering over this ancient monastic chapel is a modern mosque which was built right after the collapse of the Soviet Union. While Islam has been the religion of the Yikbi for several centuries now, their spirituality has always been closely tied to their people and the places they represent. The burial locations of those who are revered for their holiness become pilgrimage sites for those seeking blessing, help, and healing from God. Strips of cloth are left behind as offerings of prayer. Deep in the forest, these tiny cloth cradles have been hung by women as prayers for fertility. Young women who come to this site seek blessing from God that they too might have children. Pilgrims come to this site to briefly sleep and subsequently find relief from psychological problems or oppressive spirits. Pilgrims prepare to enter a holy site by removing their shoes and saying a prayer. Upon entering, they then encircle the perimeter. The caretaker, who is a distant relative of the saint who was buried here, offers a ritual blessing with holy water or with a stone, as prayers are recited from the Quran. For the Yikbi, music has been a favorite way to celebrate and to express their love for the land and their people. Even if a proper drum isn't on hand, nothing will stop an impromptu performance under a tree. A bucket will work just as well. For weddings and other celebration events, girls will sometimes don traditional costumes as they dance to the accompaniment of musicians. These girls are rehearsing at a cultural center. But the practice of these dances is becoming less frequent, and many are forgetting the local forms and failing to pass them on to the next generation. The traditional Yikbi music ensemble features 2 reed instrument players and 2 drummers. The reed instruments are known as zurnaz. One musician plays a drone tone that is held for a long duration, while the other plays a melody over it. This group of musicians live in Dagestan and are frequent participants at weddings and other events in their region. The love for story, poetry, and other oral art forms runs deep in Yikbi culture. For a storyteller, nothing is more important than an audience. While poetry and other forms of Yikbi verbal expression can be repeated with consistency, storytelling is more fluid. Each telling is slightly different as the storyteller embellishes his narrative with various devices of speech and makes adjustments of cadence and tempo based on the reactions of the listeners. This man has found a captive audience as he tells a story that recalls one of his own adventures with a bear.
Чикосана qoble bala. Bala bu hayniyet kuruda. Kajemizde gadir bikinen bala bu. Çinut ulep bu. Hani bikine hiç aygaran par. Ama hiç aygaran ulep bu maçka. Sahinir ilakı tamaşa o. Ahır bala bana söz kanak icazet işte. Sözü okunatsa. Cuna as ne kana ikesi. Tabala ana masa yiyor. Vaa aşramanı yiyor kalkaçı. يبيل قل خشمه أنا أزمان شلقة ميشا من هنا قشق إلى كان غم زطبل عناري.
Some linguists believe that within a few decades, the language of the Yikbi could vanish unless something is done to prevent it. Sharif Shamkhalaf, a local teacher and advocate of language preservation and development, has been observing the loss of language in his community over the past few decades and wants to do something to change this trend.
Xeyra işte xizan dek müəllim ıxa ki adam kalil yaşamışa uxa dek ma işlemişka maçla qiqab şiqabım şahare ve zı təhsil şahare qiqat bakoy alatu qadaqan ajat zı za sualni gihiki ne a zakle meden mizar atsa ama izda deatsa hemahet izin maraq yıxsımız qadı ve zı fəxra ki zı qivorna yıxsımka məşğula ki yıxsımın darseyi ıkkanan ki uşaqaşıb mana iş davam heyeci.
While relatively little has been written down in the Yikbi language, known to outsiders as Tsakhur, the language itself is rich and expressive. Like other languages in the Caucasus, the grammar is complex and words change continuously, depending on the context, such as location.
Spa kumkume, kumkumenche, kumkumeka. Sipa, kumkumulka, kumkumul, kumkumule. Kumkumuska, kumkumusne, kumkumusse. Sipa kumkumuk, kumkumuke.
Not only do nouns change, but any single verb can have numerous variations, such as the verb to be.
Kalma eyhe, eyhena, eyheni, eyhenani, eyheyi, eyhefe, eyhenahi, Eyhana oxur, eyhenqa, eyheletti, eyhemega, eyhecar, eyhevu, eyhevor, ıxa, ıxani, ıxayni, ıxani, ıxanani, ıxayi, ıxaxe, ıxaxi, ıxanaxini, ıxaoxur, ıxaynqa, ıxaletti, ıxame, ıxamega, ıxaykan, ıxavu, ıxavor, ıxara, ıxay, ıxayle, ıxaykan, ıxayke, ıxayka, ıxayqa, ıxayna, ıxayni, ıxays, işes, işesvu, işesse, işesta, işesti, işestani, işesni, işeshe, işessi, işeskan, işestanqa, işeskanni, işes oxur, işesme, işesmega, işescar, işesfor.
Ahmed Dawoodov is a Yikbi artist who uses the medium of painting to express his love for his people and the land they inhabit. Ahmed is proud of his heritage and has made it a priority to pass on his knowledge of Yikbi language and culture to his children. Sharif Shamkhalov has collaborated on projects with Ahmed, combining Ahmed's illustrations with language material for education and information about their culture. He asks Ahmed what he thinks about the importance of the traditional mother tongue language.
Biz nämnet mizdeş iman halqatışın. Biz en xebna abidan maşqa görməşi huvajana puvajastap. Yapsad iştixa yok öyle pakaleniyordun nesil. Da xehna şiir xehna işte dokhan xehna. Mana şi huvajastan alğastan yani. Mana izdemeye girin karlı aziz bu onu.
Sayt sual odun. Bax işte aralca babam insanlar ki eyhem bana yıksımına miznişsin. Mançil katqideş üniversitet bir şey. Ne bileyim mançka akanaka as bu ki deşmanimiz. Ama inşallah bana mis lesin badeş. Mahalli insanlar şu sucu cevap xeliyi.
Zaman insanlar şu səhvob. Hedden səhvot qıqqa. Çünkü mana mis vob men vaxt alğonar orna. Mana mis deş ki onar deşta.
Onar deşta.
Mis tarix odu, mis abide omna. Mis vob men vaxtal nimene kamedin karbi şedi, mis deş ki vaxtaş tutdeşin.
While some families are doing all they can to keep the language alive, others live in mixed language communities and have found it difficult, if not impossible, to pass the knowledge to subsequent generations. Vagif Aydınov, a teacher in the Lakit region, has done much to honor and celebrate the Yikbi heritage, but acknowledges the difficulty of keeping the language alive, as even his own children don't speak it.
Znat eyheyki yizdi dukhaglet, yisheklet, gırımlet, manşka yıkıv hayka ursaşı eyana garditsa. İşte biz elde zakle büyük babasa deşke var. Fakhra asıkkan ki zıkı varna Ceppa yizda mis xapru kes gone yizin medeniyet hamat merin gukli hagaski medeniyetsizliği var medeniyet gırgını işanasın borcudur. Kıcı hama harici bir şey abı manşka marasla mı şey bakayım ama yıkı manad mis devhi mesela yizdi duhaysıt zasıt ayıp odun. Zahmet ecin bana xapru kecin agar merin mişiz xapru keke şasıf xapru istif.
As with the children, Vagif's wife Besti also does not speak the Yikbi language.
Mənim ailəmdə baş verən elə bir ki, anam Azərbaycanlı olub, atam Tsakhur olubdu. və bu dil danışılmayıb. Ona görə də biz bilməmişik. Bax, elə bil ki, bu eynən təkrar olunur bizim ailədə. Mən bilməmişəm, amma yoldaşım Vaqif müəllim Tsakhurdur, çox yaxşı da dili bilir. Amma mənim bilmədiyimə görə bu dil danışılmadı. Danışılmadığına görə də uşaqlarımız bu dili öyrənə bilmədilər. Amma biz buna çox təəssüf eləyirik ki, uşaqlarımız bu dili bilmir. Yaxşı başa düşür, danışmağa çalışır. Mən inanıram ki, o öyrənəcək Tsakhur dilini və öz uşaqları ilə Tsakhur dilində danışacaq. Və məktəbdə də bu dildə əgər dərslər keçilsə, uşaqlar üçün daha asan olacaqdır. Və eşitdiyimizə görə yaxın vaxtlarda bu dövlətimiz bu işlə məşğuldur. Yaxın vaxtlarda bu dil məktəbimizdə keçiriləcəkdir.
One of the reasons for loss of language and culture is that traditional homeland villages are emptying out as more and more people move to towns and cities.
این خواره قرات آخانگه ایشون یک بشن سجگه یشم شاوخای ایهیدش مانکت یک بشن مدنیات یک بشته میز گیدی قالنا آوگاله İnsanlara sacgı yaşamış olken adetana medeniyet vacası eyken ama ini hep xıbar qarağa anqı çaq inşaar bir şey immi proqramma. Haydi hay bir şey öge yaşayışıka. İnşka uftanın isteyen arxitektura vodot. İtumda mahkamu dot alı. Ama gırda suvan materyalab qabına laqob. İni xavqat vaşla hatta sen eyki. Ama in kaybı nihat karat ahvanğı xvar karat ahvanğı izin git götkan. Sakleyin azakayla qiga zam müşüf kuraşmış ekenaki ne insanlar şus Allah'a ini hep muhtanla tabiat ovu ama insanlar şeyin cigabı halı çak inşaar bir şey aki gidip şah joyup dili galanma.
In large cities and medium-sized towns, social interactions are less cross-generational and the rhythm of life moves at a different pace. Local expressions and practices become less relevant and the force of global influences increase. If the local language will survive alongside the national language, it might be because efforts are made to produce and teach its literature. So far, almost nothing is available in the schools. But one well-loved poet, Khan Almaz, has dedicated much of his life adding to the literature. Khan Almaz can't type, but over the years he has produced a large number of poems and stories, writing them down by hand and preserving them in notebooks he's stashed away in an old suitcase.
Hayt ahnimizin yaratıcılık arşiv odun. İzde ömür boyu zaman ot günün. Zaka her janrıka demeli teatr, şiir bu, hikaye bu. Her gün yaratıcılık odun. Hayzı sale asar, suvantet. Devgül asar obla. Maşle kıyga. Hayın şeyizin hatta koşma bu odun bu. Bayatı bu odun bu. Me'li bu odun bu. Maşle kıyga. İnat deşin kardeşin. Mensur şiir bu odun bu. Maşle kıyga. İnat deşin kardeşin. Camiat hakkı pul kazanmış ha. Hayb ala, imarat ala. Zümye. Dur. Kapik dene, pul dene. Laf Mısır'a dur halde edebiyatı. Kanama halka deşma. Zahteşman olur. İşte millet sor.
Sharif has been leading an effort to revise the alphabet used by the Yikbi, which for several decades has been in the Russian-based Cyrillic script. His desire is to make it easier to read for the Yikbi who live in Azerbaijan and are more familiar with Latin-based characters.
Alo. Salam aleykum, salam aleykum. Ne yaptın Nusret Müəllim? Canına sağ valla ne yaptın? Yok bayken. İlek ki, Reykaşı Khan Almaz'ni xaat, açan demem on xavni axay. Yıqsımni əlifbayin, tezə latinli əlifbayin, müzakirə haas. Fıkır, WhatsApp yazıqkan yığına, hani əlifbayin həqqi. Zavasqa qaxuvuni mançın yazı. Ama inşallah aki xahişan ayrı. Ayrısta ne? Yaxşı, gedu da, qozitan. Sağ ol, sağ ol.
Because an alphabet always involves a set of compromises, a small group of people gather together for discussion and feedback.
Qina sabımı ilaka. Yıqsımni mizin latinni grafikayka otquyun əlifba müzakirə haas. Sabara əlifba bodunmu müxtəlif grafik abışqa otquyun, kirilka otquyun odun, latini kirilin əlifqiyun odun. Amma qeynini devril Azərbaycanın Rusni namiz qılba işləmiş o ki vuxay ki. Şimaş buru okanmı ki Azərbaycanlı Çini mizek uyğunlaşmışa uni. Ama inşallah şasana xevcuna yoxsa yoxublə hərf. Yoxsa yoxublə hərf xevcuna. Kepçələ qoblə bununla Azərbaycanlı mizek. Şas ağana yutuqab yişdə spesifik şən işarabı buğazı edən.
Proposing a new alphabet brings up a set of challenges, such as trying to make sure that the characters can be typed on common keyboards, that they will be easily readable, and that they won't be confused with other characters. So several opinions must be weighed, and the alphabet carefully tested for readability.
Bu aynı dodun işare harftir. Yani ızaşna.
While Sharif is dedicated to helping pass Yikbi culture and language on to younger generations, he wonders what the future will actually bring. He asks Turan Aydınov, a young Yikbi man who doesn't speak the language, what he thinks.
Sizin fikrinizce 20 ildən sonra Tsakhur mədəniyyəti, Tsakhur dili qalacaq yoxsa assimilyasiya uğrayacaq? Sizin fikriniz nədir?
Məncə Tsakhur mədəniyyəti indiyə qədər assimilyasiya olmayıbsa Sovet dövründə. İndən sonra da çoxlu maraq var xaricilərdə, eləcə də bizdə və o daha da inkişaf edəcək, eləcə saflaşaraq digər mədəniyyətlərlə əlaqədə bu mədəniyyət də inkişaf edəcək.
Bax, deyərdim ki, qanı Tsakhur qanıdır deyək ki. Amma dilləri bilməyən gənclərə siz nə məsləhət görərdiniz ki, bu dildə danışsınlar?
Məncə bu dildə danışmaq vacibdir, amma o qədər də yəni bunu bilməmək elə də mən bilən ayıb deyil. Əsas məsələ odur ki, birinci növbədə hər bir Tsakhur olmağı ilə fəxrləsin və öz biliyini inkişaf elətdirsin, Tsakhur mədəniyyətini öyrənsin. Dil də yəqin ki, ondan sonra onda maraq olacaq, yaranacaq, inkişaf edəcək. Yəni
Ultimately, ensuring the survival of culture and language is a collective effort. Those belonging to older and middle generations realize that they must work hand in hand with the younger generations. While governments can play an important role in supporting cultural institutions and schools, only the Yikbi themselves, who hold the treasures and skills from their past, can pass them on to the future. Only the bonds between family members and communities can hold together a knowledge that is otherwise so easy to lose and so difficult to restore. Will the Yikbi keep their rich and complex language alive? Will they successfully pass on the appreciation and knowledge of their history, their art, their food, and their cultural traditions? Or will the vital link be lost as many have predicted? The only certainty is that the Yikbi will move ahead into the future and find a way to navigate through their world as they have always done in the past.